this would be the agenda for today. I'll give you about the history, overview, that's for HANA key features and the key modules it delves into. So basically, the SAP company itself started from 1972. So there were folks from IBM who started this, and from 1972, the entire journey of SAP started, you can say. So there were 5 former IBM engineers, and the company was formed in Germany. The vision was to create a software that allowed real-time processing to enable businesses to operate more efficiently and smoothly. So during that time, there were very limited softwares which were allowing like businesses to operate in a more efficient way. So that's where the journey of SAP started. And it was 1973 that the R1 layer, I mean, right now, currently, we are in a R3 architecture of ECC, as S4HANA delves into furthermore. But yeah, it started with R1 architecture. So this was basically a breakthrough in the business industry, allowing for integrated real-time applications. Then slowly, I mean, the R1 architecture was there. Then it finally in 1979, it was that SAP R2 was launched. So it expanded SAP's capabilities to a wider range of business processes, including accounting, manufacturing, and supply chain management. So this R2, it was a mainframe-based system. And then everything what happened in the R2 architecture was based on mainframe. So as most of you would know about mainframe, but I would just like to give a brief information about it. So mainframe is like when the companies were big, they had their own infrastructure. The data center, they had to make sure that it is secured and then it is put in place. So that was about the mainframe where the R2 was based. And then, yeah, I mean, it also provided SAP the entry into the international markets in the 1979. Then coming to 92, so that was the big milestone for SAP, where the R3 architecture or the SAP ECC R3 component was launched. So it was basically a shift from mainframe to the client server architecture. Uh, it basically made SAP accessible to a wider range of businesses. And this version was basically characterized by its modular structure, allowing companies to implement modules specific to their business needs. So when it was R2, it was like just a one SAP being used for multiple businesses or industries. But with the release of R3, then specific to the businesses, R3 module was launched so that they can try to use it based on their specific industries, be it manufacture, be it healthcare, be it finance. So with the introduction of R3, that was possible. Then came the internet era and the integration era, I can say. So 2004 to 5. I mean, this was the introduction of this ECC and then SAP NetWeaver component. So ECC, when I say it's the ERP central component, as we all know, it was short form ECC. So finally, ECC was launched in 2004 and 5. I mean, during that time, it had a lot of advancements as well. So these advancements which I'm talking about, it offered an integrated platform for applications and databases, basically enabling businesses to leverage the web technologies. Since the internet was also booming during that time, so it allowed the SAP to leverage the web technologies and standardize their system across the global operations where they were operating. So from 2004-5, the ECC started, and then gradually SAP introduced the EHP packages, which we call as enhancement packages. So these were basically launched to make sure that there are regular upgrades provided, and then there's a continuous improvement in the software which is deployed. And then basically these enhancement packages were to simplify the deployment of the new software features, and then without disrupting the ongoing business operations. So earlier, whenever there used to be any upgrade, the business operations used to be halted or they were being affected. But with the launch of this EHP packages, this was made sure that without disrupting the business operations, uh, SAP can upgrade its software and then provide the regular updates like we get in our Android or Apple phones as well. So from EHP 1 it started, and then it went on till EHP 7 as we see. So these were the regular updates which SAP used to provide. Then it was finally 2011 where the SAP HANA was launched. So SAP HANA is entirely different from SAP S4 HANA, for which this training is all about. So SAP HANA basically uh, is an in-memory column-oriented relational database. So it basically is a database management system which was the foundation for the advanced analytics and application. So initially, whenever like SAP used to operate, so uh, like they used to allow flexibility for multiple databases. Like there used to be Oracle, there used to be DB2, SQL, I remember, Sybase, I remember. So all of the databases were supported. But then 2011, as SAP launched its proprietary database called as HANA database. And basically, I mean, this innovation, which we are calling, it enabled the real-time data processing. So before that, I mean, we used to wait for the SAP to call the database, be it Oracle or in any other database, and then there used to be a delay in the processing of the data. So with the launch of this SAP HANA, the real-time data processing was possible, and then SAP further delved into a lot of analytics and analytical applications, which I can say. So it basically set the stage for the next generation of the business applications. Now, coming to the SAP S4 HANA, yeah, it was finally 2015 that SAP S4 HANA was officially launched. It basically represented a major leap forward. It was built on the SAP HANA platform, which was launched in 2011. And S4 HANA basically was designed to address the complexities uh, of the digital age, we can call. So, since there were multiple business processes being formed, multiple different areas were flourishing where, I mean, they required something like as SAP, which is an ERP, for their proper management and their efficiency. So SAP finally launched the SAP S4 HANA, and then it featured a simplified data model, improved performance, real-time analytical capabilities, which we will further delve into in detail in the further slides. And then finally, the main thing the SAP S4 HANA introduced was the entire shift in the UI capabilities. So as you all of you have worked on the ECC, so you would have seen the SAP GUI interface, and that's the only interface even as a technical members we use and even the end users use. So even uh, if you see in the Reliance Digital or any other companies where as SAP is being used, even the uh, technical users there or the end users I can call, they are also using the same SAP GUI when the ECC is still there. But with the incoming of the SAP S4 HANA, the Fiori UX interface was launched, and then it entirely shifted the perception of how SAP used to be. So SAP used, like, there used to be various concerns that, I mean, the user interface is very laggy. It is not as intuitive as we are seeing in the like the latest ones. If I call the Salesforce or the Oracle, so their user interfaces was much better, or they had improved with time, but SAP still had that thing missing. So with the introduction of SAP S4 HANA, finally the Fiori was launched, and then this Fiori entirely transformed on how SAP used to be seen in the market. So yeah, I think this is about the S4 HANA overview, which I talked about. Uh, you can go through the slides. Uh, so yeah, next comes the SAP S4 HANA key features. So I think this is which will differentiate the S4 HANA from ECC when it comes to the business standpoint. First is the simplified data model. So yeah, so as we talked about that the database itself is an in-memory now. So since it's an in-memory database, so it is not the complex data model kind of thing that for database SAP needs to reach out to the external database and then take the data and then further do the processing. Now it's the in-memory database, the SAP HANA database, which it has, and then with the help of it, the entire uh, data model itself becomes very simplified, and then it helps in the simplification of all the business processes which we do. So the next is the real-time analytics. So yeah, as the database is in memory, it basically increases the efficiency of the real-time analytics which we do. So if a business needs to run any end-to-end process, there's a real-time data which is available, and then you can basically try to leverage that and then increase the efficiency in which you are doing this. So if I take an example of a use case, basically, so I mean, these are all the features which you can go through later also. But yeah, I'll just like to provide a use case or a specific example which will help you in understanding that what exactly is real-time analytics, what is simplified data model, so that you can picturize it in your mind. Uh, that has helped me as well. I mean, while doing it for the client environments, I used to make sure that I get an overview of what exactly it is, and then so I think I'll just try to give you an example from one of the clients which I worked on. So if you take an example of say manufacturing in industry, so manufacturing company basically will use the SAP S/4HANA to integrate its production planning and material management, like the PP and the MM modules. So this integration will basically allow the company to adjust its production schedules in real time based on the live inventory levels. For instance, say if a critical raw material is running low, so the system can automatically detect or adjust the production schedules based on the material which is running low. So the sync between the material running low and the system adjusting the production schedules is on the real time basis, and then it will basically expedite the orders for the raw material. So the outcome of this, basically, it will make sure that the company reduces the waste from the overproduction of the materials. It will minimize the stockouts. It will improve the ability to meet the delivery deadlines without maintaining an excessive inventory levels. So earlier, when this real-time sync was not that efficient, there used to be excessive inventory levels which the company used to maintain. There used to be skipping of deadlines, and then there used to be a lot of waste also from the overproduction which the company used to do. So with the help of this real-time analytics and the simplified data model, uh, yeah, the all of this advantages is something which we can see as an example from a manufacturing industry. I'll just like to give another example. If we take an example of a retail industry, so say a retail chain implements S/4HANA, it will basically try to integrate its sales and distribution module with the warehouse management module, the SD with the EWM. So this integration will basically provide a unified view of the inventory across all sales channels, including the online, in-store, or even the third-party sellers. So you can have the complete view in just one channel itself. So whenever a customer places an order online, the system can immediately reflect the inventory change across all channels and update its replenishment orders accordingly. So if you're like a retail industry and you're operating across online and third party and the other physical sales channel, so whenever there is a order placed, even for online or for third party sellers, it will basically help you in tracking that in on the real time basis, and then it will definitely make sure that all the channels are given that information that okay, this is sold out. So the outcome of this is basically the retail chain will enhance the customer satisfaction by providing accurate stock information, and there will be faster order fulfillment also. And also it will help in the optimizing of the inventory levels by reducing the carrying costs. So these are some of the real-time examples which will help us in analyzing that what exactly uh, is SAP S/4HANA doing. I mean, when we talk about the use cases in the real time. So Fiori user interface we have talked about. This is definitely an add-on. And the one new thing which SAP was able to do with the SAP S/4HANA was the artificial intelligence. So as I was talking in the starting that I worked on multiple AI use cases and the AI implementations for clients. So this is again embedded in the SAP S/4HANA. It's like the more use case you will see in the SAP S/4HANA cloud, and not much in the on-premise version. So this embedded artificial intelligence, what it will basically do is, so whenever you are tracing any issue, so suppose you are on a page where something is not working, or as SAP has a tendency to introduce new UIs for every app. So say today for any material management app, you are seeing, the end user is seeing two or three buttons, but after 3 months, those two or three buttons will be clubbed either into one button, or like there will be introduction of more buttons. So what embedded artificial intelligence will help is, there's a like a chat box which is given to you in the top right corner, where you can go and just ask that how to do so and so process, or how to use this application. So it will basically will try to fetch the information, and then it will try to give you everything in that same page itself. So you don't need to go to Google, or you don't need to go to SAP guides to see that, okay, now what's the new upgrade, and then how I can see that what's how to leverage this app. So all of it will be given to you in the same page itself. So like that's one of the example of the AI which is embedded directly into the S/4HANA. It will basically assist the end users is as well as even to us also. Even for the technical apps which are there are a lot of modifications which keep on happening, or you are unaware that, okay, now I need to assign this role to um, this particular business catalog, and then you are unable to find that business catalog when you are trying to search for it. So you can, on the real time, you can just go and search for it, and then it will basically guide you that, okay, these are the things which you will need to follow. Or if the business catalog is unavailable, it needs to be imported. That information also you can see. Now coming to the integrated business processes, yeah, earlier there used to be a lot of business processes which used to operate on individual basis, but with the introduction of S/4HANA, many business processes are integrated now. So they are basically working in sync together, as we saw in the case of examples where I told about, like production planning and management, material management. They basically work in sync. So we'll dive into the integrated business processes also in detail. So that definitely is a key feature of S/4HANA. Yeah. I think the next is the cloud and on-premise deployment. I think we have talked enough about how cloud and on-premise deployment differs. And then, yeah, I think with the introduction of cloud, yeah, this entirely changed in how SAP used to uh, treat its customer in terms of giving them specific deployment of options, and then giving them specific services. So that definitely is something which came in with the SAP S/4HANA itself. And then last but not the least is the industry specific solutions. So yeah, now we have the specific solutions for every industry. So coming to cloud, SAP has a like dedicated package itself. If you are like a if you are belonging to a transportation management, if your client is a finance client, so the entire uh, package of SAP S/4HANA Cloud is like SAP S/4HANA Finance is there, SAP S/4HANA TM is there, SAP S/4HANA uh, Production Planning is there. So there are dedicated solutions specific to the industries, and then those basically are made by working on the specific clients, like multiple clients from the same industry. So say 50 clients from transportation industry, SAP worked with them, and then they tried to came up with a specific transportation module so that all the business catalogs or all the like the spaces which they will provide to the customer, they'll basically be focusing on the transportation itself. So you need to basically, the SAP's aim is to reduce the customization as much as possible. So they are giving you everything as a standard, so that um, a person belonging to a finance industry or a transportation industry is trying to leverage those standard apps and then trying to create the solution which will basically be efficient for the individual client, but will be containing more of a standard and then less of a customized version. Yeah, that's their motto. But yeah, still, I mean, customization is required, and then SAP there does provide the ways to do it. But yeah, I think you would have heard of something called as clean core. So this clean core is something which is like supporting more of standard and then less of customization. So I think this is what we'll dive into further as well. But yeah, whenever you are working on any client environments and then you get a need for creating anything custom, you should first try to push back on it, because I mean even SAP is discouraging that, because if there is anything standard which is available, then you don't need to create any custom of it. So from a security standpoint, if there is a need for creating any custom business catalog or any custom space or page, I mean, which we'll further see as well. So you should first try to analyze that, okay, why is it required, and is there anything standard which is available, or is there anything standard which is in the plan as well. So you can further see that what SAP is planning to launch in next 3 months, or maybe next in couple of weeks also, because there are a lot of hot fixes which they are calling, which they do. So in that they are releasing the applications, the Fiori applications, the business catalogs on a very quick basis. So if there is any need from any client or any customer, and then if that is something which is available in the standard or planned to be available in the standard, then yeah, you should first try to cater to that, and then next is the customization which you need to go for. So that's something you need to keep in mind whenever you work on the SAP S/4HANA, that try to leverage more of the standard and then less of the customization. It will basically help you, because like there are regular upgrades which are happening, and then if you are using anything standard, so your standard app will be more enhanced as in when the upgrades will happen. But if you are using the custom, then you always need to make sure that whenever any upgrade happens, then you need to make sure that, okay, these are the custom apps which we have built, and then now there is a upgrade happening. So we need to make sure that all the custom apps are also taken care of, and then relevant upgrades related to anything standard which is based on, like the custom app is based on something standard, then that is introduced in the custom. So you'll need to work with ABAPers, you'll need to work with developers, UI5 developers, if it's a UI5 app, and make sure that that is incorporated. So that is something which we'll need to take care for the custom apps which we are building, or the custom catalogs also.
Hey, you know, ZaranTech now offers SAP corporate training. That's right. Train your workforce in SAP with our comprehensive program. We offer customized courses, certified trainers, and hands-on labs for both individuals and businesses. Our standout features: bespoke training, fully configured servers for practice, in-house materials, and a dedicated LMS. Plus, get session recordings and 24/7 support. From functional to technical modules, we have got it all. Choose ZaranTech for SAP training and watch your team excel. Learn, upskill, succeed with ZaranTech.
So two things is like first, you mentioned about the standard pages and spaces which SAP is promoting to use for the existing clients. But so like what
Yeah.
I have seen is like because I have been part of the 2.3 S4 implementation is like recently SAP moved into the last 2 years back. It's like pages and spaces. So most of the cases is like even though it is the greenfield kind of thing, we are creating a custom pages spaces and catalog. So how much it is feasible, whatever business catalogs or spaces, pages, standard thing I'm saying SAP is providing. So
Mm-hmm.
is it feasible to use? Because sometimes, it's like we want to restrict some apps, is like, but SAP has given a wider access. Even though it's like I'm trying to imagine in terms of a greenfield implementation, is it feasible? It's like whatever SAP provides, we can use that because if we go for that, it is nothing but a public cloud solution for me.
Mm, okay, okay. No, I think I'm getting your point. So you're saying that if you're going with the standard spaces and pages, then
Yes,
yeah, the wider access. If a client, if you need to
yes,
provide someone access to 2 apps, but then you end
yeah,
up giving access to 10 apps, right?
yes, correct, correct. So
Okay,
that's
okay.
that's the it's like because most of the cases I have seen is like because we talked about the business catalog. So even though we give the business catalog and we restrict the view on the pages spaces, end user can search those styles and use the app because that's the limitation of the Fiori. It's like because everything drive from a catalog. It is like what I have seen in terms of the S4 because that's again a security a lag I can say with the Fury. So has SAP has done anything in terms of for the latest release where we can have the more control on the catalog app while searching on the Fury?
Yes, this is there. I mean, which I totally echo with your concern. So what I mean, SAP is trying to do is, as I say, I mean, the regular upgrades which it is planning. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, the concerns which you showed, I mean, yeah, definitely these are the concerns which are coming to SAP. Even we have raised it to them that yeah, I mean, like these are the specific apps which should be present in this catalog, but then there are additional apps as well, which again, I mean, we can hide it in the pages while we are creating it, but yeah, it's not like we are restricting the
Yeah, so
authorization to it, because if an
that's
end
the
user,
thing. Because when the GRC comes into the picture, sometimes we get SOD kind of thing. Is like so that's again
yeah, yeah,
it's a separate activity. Okay, one more thing. So you mentioned about the clean core activities. Like so, we are trying to follow
yeah,
for that for the existing client. But again, the if a business completely rely on the SAP for the further development in terms of any business process requirement, but again, the SAP is not
yeah,
that much responsive, and it's like every project got some timelines, deadline to deliver the project. So it's like, is it
correct,
really
correct, yeah.
feasible to go with the clean cores? Like, let's say today I got any, we are running some custom requirement and SAP is not fulfilling those requirement in Fiori apps from that point of view. It's like, so how SAP is dealing with this kind of urgent requirement? I just want to know, is like, so that I can recommend the same thing for the further clients.
Yes, yes. So yeah, I mean, see, I mean, customizations will still be required. I mean, the aim of SAP is to make sure that they try to minimize it to the most they can. But yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm,
depending on, like, it's not like a one fit solution for all the clients. So if I talk
mm-hmm,
about say manufacturing industry, so for
mm-hmm.
manufacturing they have developed lot of business catalogs which are catering to the particular mm, service or the particular say users which are required for that, and then for them they have made sure that the respective apps are there. But if like still there are things which require customization, then you should definitely go for that customization, because I think if you will wait for the SAP to deliver it as a standard, it may take
Mm-hmm.
time. So that's what I was saying, that I'll provide you the link where you can go and see that like what's the next in plan for that particular industry, what all
Mm-hmm.
business catalogs are launching, what all business like a Fury apps are launching. Is it something which is nearer to what you want to create as a custom? So if
Okay.
that is something which is already there or in plan to be there near time, then you can
Mm-hmm.
definitely suggest the client to go for the standard. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, customization is definitely will be required. And then it is something which you should go for. I mean, I'm not saying that complete
Okay.
clean core is possible at the moment,
Yeah,
because
because see what happened in some our cases, like we are trying to follow this clean core thing, but again, it's like we gone back to the SAP. They said it's like this is not possible at the moment. But it's like when you talk about the business on all this project planning, is like then they push back to the security team. It's like because we have stopped few things. Because you don't need to customize this. It's like SAP is coming on the next quarter with further update. Then you can check about this functionality in the standard thing. Because so it's like so we don't need to it's like completely push them to go back to the clean core. That is what I'm like saying. It's like we can first check the update from the SAP, because again, it's like if in a project is there is one or two security consultant are working, it's like, and we are just following up for the one functionality. It also takes a lots of time, because sometimes we say just a clean core kind of thing, but there should be some rationale behind it. Is like why we are talking about the clean core, and sometimes business doesn't listen to all this argument. They just want to meet their timeline. So anything on this part SAP is doing, that is this is what I want to know. It's like so that we can
yeah,
give
yeah,
the same recommendations to our customers as well.
yeah. So I mean, what SAP is planning to do is it is trying to introduce more and more standard apps which will cater to the client, and then it will basically help in reducing the customization as much as possible. So, but yeah, currently, I mean, there will be specific cases where if a client is using, say, SAP from very long time, so every client has their own customizations which they would have did in their older environments. So those customizations may not be feasible right now in the standard. So in case customizations are very heavy, you and the need is to continue with that customization, then you should definitely suggest the client to go with a custom solution itself. But what SAP is trying to pitch is if you have did many customizations in your ECC environment, and when you're moving to S4 HANA, or you are already there in S4 HANA, and then you are trying to create anything custom, so try to reduce it as much as possible. But yeah, I mean, for the clients which had did heavy customizations, like I have had clients like Walmart, Google, who had did lot of customizations in their ECC landscape. And when they are moving to S4 HANA, like they are still not there. I mean, they are still taking time, because those customizations, some of them are feasible in S4 HANA, some of them are not feasible at all. I mean, even if you want, you can't create a custom solution, because there will be a lot of complexities involved in that. So, because initially, if a customization included, say, 10 T codes, 10 T codes from a security standpoint, I'm saying, but
Hmm.
from a programmer standpoint, there can be like hundreds of codes which would have been written. So when it comes to S4HANA, those 10 T codes itself can reduce to 1 T code. Those hundreds of program itself will not be supportive anymore. And then you'll need to write new programs or the new codes based on the HANA database. So, so the motto is to reduce customization whenever you move to S4HANA. But then, yeah, definitely you can't reduce everything, and then you'll definitely need to carry on with the custom programs or the customizations where which is required. So that depends on the analysis. I mean, we as a security consultant also need to work together with business, with the functional team, in order to understand that what is this customization doing, what is available in the standard, which we can try to suggest them. But then that evaluation has to be done from like all the parties which are involved. And it's not only the security team which can take any decision that okay, this can be allowed, this cannot be allowed, because this is something which is yeah, dependent on the other teams as well. I mean, other teams or the business is the first point of contact, but
Mainly business.
yeah,
Yeah.
mainly
But
business. Yeah,
can I
that's
say
true.
is
But
like SAP is trying to introduce everything standard on a on-premise private cloud, so that later on they can move every client to the public cloud. Is it something SAP is trying to do?
no, it's the other way around. I mean, SAP is
Other way
trying to
around. Okay.
introduce more standard on the public cloud right now.
Okay.
So public cloud, as I said, I mean, it has a specific solution for finance, for manufacturing, for EWM.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, if you see, I mean, in that there will be heavy standard apps which will be available. Even if you'll go in the Fiori apps library, if you'll
Mm-hmm.
search for the public cloud, you'll find lot of applications which are still not there in the private cloud, because for public cloud, SAP gets that feasibility to launch those apps because those are basically not catering to any specific one fit all for all in industries. When it comes to private cloud, yeah, I mean SAP needs to launch apps which can support manufacturing, which can support finance all at once. So in that case, for private cloud, still it's a far way round. But for public cloud, yeah, SAP is doing it very actively. But yeah, the aim is to make sure that even the private cloud gets the industry specific solutions, and then those apps uh, are launched, which are basically helping you to reduce the customizations. But yeah, for public cloud, it's like happening on a almost like a weekly or a quarterly basis.
Quarterly basis.
So yeah, yes. Anybody else? Anybody having any concerns in their live client environment in terms of moving to S4 HANA? Any queries on that? Yeah, because I think public cloud is
So,
something which is different. So yes,
so
Prashant.
for our client, they're planning one public cloud. It's like just not a, it's like same entity but a different entity. That's one of the subsidiary they are planning to use public cloud.
Okay,
But
okay, great, great. Public cloud is definitely something which you'll see a different perspective, and then you can relate to the things which I was talking about in terms of, say, embedded AI or the other things in terms of having a non-Fiori interface, a non-GUI interface. So all of that you'll see.
okay,
So
so
yeah, I think
just
that
one thing beyond the context, the C4C is like IBP, all these things is like I have worked with
yeah,
those
yeah,
administration as well. So are they also getting updated? Because for their, again, it's like the user management is pretty much standard. The roles as well is like they're the predefined kind of thing. So we don't have the much control from the authorization point of view. So when I talk about the public cloud and the private cloud, it's like again we use the terms with the rise with SAP and the grow with SAP here. It's like
yeah,
for the
yeah, yeah.
private and the public. So if we go talk about the public cloud and the private cloud, so can I say is like in the public cloud we have the less control over the customization of the authorization if I compare with the private one.
Definitely, it is. Yeah, in the public cloud, you have less control in the customization. Also, you have less control in terms of what you want to experiment as well. So in our private cloud, like we can go and we can try to create, like from a developer standpoint, any programmer, like we can have say 10 programmers working for us, creating multiple of their test programs, and then trying to use it. Then programmer give it to us, and then we try to use it in our security roles in terms of business catalogs. But when it comes to public cloud, first of all, the developer license itself is like 10 times costly than a normal, say, a security license. So, uh, so first of all, the programmers itself will be very limited because, as I say, the license cost is like 10 times for a developer, and instead as compared to the other consultants like security or technical other like say a functional consultant. So the because the customizations mainly start with creating a custom code. So since the licenses are heavy, the costs are heavy, so the programmers will be limited, and then hence the things you can try it out there will be very limited. Uh, so yeah, that again is the first point to control the customization. And then in terms of security, if I say, then yeah, I mean you don't have access to all the business catalogs which are available in the Fiori app library. So Fiori app library, if it contains say 100 business catalogs which are present for public cloud there, but for you they'll be limited because they'll be imported based on the specific industry or the specific S4 HANA cloud which you have purchased. So if you require other business apps, business catalogs, you definitely can check it in the Fiori apps library and then get it imported. But then, yeah, I mean, these are some things which will prevent you to do more customizations in the public cloud. So you basically need to remain within the radar of what SAP has provided you. And then you also need to keep in mind that whatever you're doing, it's uh, it's basically available as part of public cloud. So whenever the next upgrade happens, so all of it will get affected. So the standard apps getting affected is like it can happen as in when the upgrade happens. But for the customizations which you have done, so there are a lot of things like RASD tool is there, which is like a release app scope dependency tool. So this is something which you will need to go 3 months before any upgrade happens, and then you need to track that what all custom apps are getting affected, and then you need
And then
to
who
make sure that
provides
you
the
are
impact
prepared for it.
analysis before all this upgrade happens? SAP, who sends the reports to the client, is like they are moving to this version XYZ, and it's like XYZ things are
Yes, yeah.
impacting SAP only.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. So there's something called as RASD tool, release app scope dependency tool. So like for every client, whenever they adopt any public cloud solution, this is something which they release for every client, and then you need to go there and then you need to track that based on the business processes which you have adopted, that what all business applications are getting affected, what all new business catalogs are getting launched, and there's something new term called as deprecated, which SAP is using. So this deprecation, I mean, it is also there for private cloud also. So deprecation is like, I mean, those app or the an app also can be deprecated, or the business catalog also can be deprecated. So what they mean is that that particular app or catalog is getting a new app or a catalog, and the old one will not be supportive anymore, and then, I mean, it's basically being deleted. But instead of calling it as deleted or not supportive anymore, they have used this new term called as deprecated. So if an app is getting deprecated, you'll basically get to see that what is the new app which will replace it. So sometimes what happens is, instead of two applications, SAP launches one application. So you'll basically get to see that, okay, this particular app is getting deprecated. So what is the new app which is present? And if there is a combined for two also, you'll basically need to do that analysis much in advance before that upgrade happens. So, and then again, you need to do that analysis and then take it to business, consult with them that, okay, this is what which is going to happen in the an environment. So that will basically give you an analysis much before any upgrade happens. So this is what is again a difference between public and private. That for public you can't delay that upgrade, and for private cloud, what is the advantage is, though the upgrade is say upgrade is supposed to have happened 3 months from now, so you can only make sure that if you need to go for that upgrade, you can go. Otherwise, you can delay it because it's your own private cloud. You need to adopt whatever you can. Yeah. So
So in terms of a public cloud, it's like if, let's say if SAP is coming from a quarterly upgrade, so they will automatically do all the adjustment for the existing rules as well.
yes, they'll
Okay,
do that.
so it's
I mean,
more
they'll
about the telling the business about their business process and end user training. That is what I can see. Is like there is not much in work involved from a administrative security administration point of view.
no, it's not the case because say if even if there are the standard say if there are no customizations which you have did, even if there are all the standard apps, so even if those standard apps are getting deprecated and the new apps are getting launched, so there is a pre-work which I told which you need to do, which will result into the user education and everything. But then there are things which you need to do in your system also, which will ensure that the upgrade happens successfully. So it's not like a simple upgrade which SAP will do and then it will just change your system the next day. There are things which you also would need to do in your system, like there are entire steps, and then there is a release of upgrade document also. So those are things which you need to follow even for the standard apps. So from a admin standpoint also, there are steps which you will need to take care before and even after the upgrade. So like but those are not as heavy as the other ones which we used to have. But yeah, there are things which you need to do from a security standpoint. There are things which like a functional team needs to do from their standpoint. So a user education definitely is one thing, but from a technical standpoint also, there are steps which you need to take in order to ensure that the upgrade happens successfully. Because for this public cloud, it's basically a sync between SAP and the vendor who is supporting. Like, I mean, TCS is supporting for others, some particular client. So you'll need to work in collaboration with SAP. So yeah, so those are the things which you'll need to keep in mind for public cloud. But then again, I mean, like those are dedicated steps which you will get to know beforehand only, and it's not like which this is something which you will not know and then it will cause any issues. But from an admin standpoint, there are things which we need to do as well, and it's not like just a upgrade which I mean, like today is the upgrade happening, and tomorrow the everything new will be there. We need to work in collaboration with SAP, and then there are steps which we need to do as well. Okay, yeah. I mean, like public cloud is not again a part of this training, but yeah, I mean, since there is an interest, I'll try to
Just
see
I
I mean,
want to
where I
know
can fit
whether
that thing. Yeah.
BTP application all under this come under public cloud or private cloud. Which applications come under which? I mean, what is the exact application comes under public cloud and what is private cloud? And we got confused over there a bit.
Okay. So for now, you can just forget about public cloud. I mean, whenever I refer to cloud, it's for this training, it's private cloud only. And for private cloud, there is no BTP, there is no nothing separate which you will need to think about. It's like our ECC environment. It's just the new introduction for you would be Fiori app, and for Fiori app, how you will do it in the Fiori UI interface, and then how you will do it for the SAP GUI interface. Like how will you create a role? How will you analyze the Fiori apps required for a client? I mean, those things only you can think about right now, because I think that's I mean, that will be sufficient for you to work in the private cloud, not public cloud. Public cloud is different, which yeah, you can skip right now. I think we talked more of it, which is I think yeah, not related to private cloud anymore. Because for private cloud, it's the GUI and the Fiori app itself. You need to make sure that you are aware of those things. Okay. Now coming to the next. So the key modules, and these are the SAP S/4HANA key modules which will be there in the SAP S/4HANA private cloud. So I think we have talked about majority of this, the SD, MM, PP, QM, project systems. So yeah, these are all the key modules which the SAP S/4HANA delves into. So as I was talking about the SAP HANA database and then how it would change the perspective in terms of client. So as I was talking about from a specific example, I'll just try to elaborate on that. So as I said that in SAP ECC, the material management was like spread across multiple tables due to limitations in the traditional disk-based databases. So there was Oracle DB2, due to which I mean there were multiple tables which were involved, and then say there are 10 to 12 tables which were there. So and then as soon as we changed the database to SAP HANA, the entire 10 to 12 tables were shifted to only one table. So basically, what it helped us is in the performance improvement. So the queries that were previously required accessing multiple tables would now be accessed across the single table, which significantly reduced the complexity and also enhanced the performance. The second benefit of having SAP HANA as a database was it reduced the data footprint. So the consolidation of tables and removals of indices and aggregates that were necessary for the traditional database, it is not anymore required in the HANA database because it's a in-memory database, and then it definitely had a significant reduction in the data footprint. And again, the real-time data processing and simplified data model is something which helped in the introduction of SAP S/4HANA. So that's there. So we'll go to second topic for this now. So the next is the versions of the S/4HANA. So these are the different versions of the S/4HANA, and again, this is all related to private cloud only. I'm not talking about public cloud. So as you see that the first version which was launched for S/4HANA was this 1503.
What sets ZaranTech apart in SAP corporate training? It's our unique blend of expertise and innovation. We offer customized courses tailored to each client's needs, ensuring relevant, targeted learning. Our vast trainer database brings you wisdom from the best in the field. Need resources? Access our extensive training material repository anytime. We are all about measurable results, providing detailed student metrics to track progress. And we don't just teach, we build community. Join our thriving social media network, connecting learners beyond boundaries. With ZaranTech, you are not just training, you are transforming your SAP expertise.
So whenever you see this 1503, 1511, 1610, so it basically, the first two characters represent the year in which it was launched, and the last two characters represent the month. So if you see that this 1511, it means that this particular version of SAP S/4HANA was launched in 2015 in the month of November. So this basically denotes you whenever you see that, okay, which is the year and then which is the month in which it was launched. So as you see that these are the various versions of SAP S/4HANA which were launched. So the first one was launched in the 2015 in the month of March, and then we have the subsequent versions which are there, like 1511, 1610, 1709. So whenever it comes to work as a security consultant, this is very critical for us to understand that which SAP S/4HANA version is the client in. So the client can go for the 2022, 2021. I mean, ideally, if there is no SAP S/4HANA, so the proposal is to go for the latest SAP S/4HANA version only. But then again, this is something which we can't comment on because there are various analysis which happens whenever SAP S/4HANA is supposed to be brought in. So say for an example, for a client which is currently on ECC, and then he wants to shift from ECC to S/4HANA, then which is the correct version for him? I mean, ideally, as per SAP, the latest version should be the correct one, but this is not the case for every customer, because as we were talking about, that there are various Fiori apps which are deprecated or which are not present in the latest version. So if a client has limited time and then he wants to switch to SAP S/4HANA, so even the older versions can be helpful for him. So today, if a client does his analysis, I mean, that analysis requires business to do. Even we as security folks, few of our leads would need to be there. Technical team would need to be there. So they'll do that all analysis, and then in that analysis, if they find that SAP S/4HANA 2020 is the version which is currently suitable, so yeah, that will be something which will be proposed. And then you basically need to know that, okay, now we have SAP S/4HANA 2020. So all the Fiori applications which you will look into further, all the business catalogs, that has to be SAP S/4HANA 2020 supportive. So we'll look at it when we go to the Fiori apps library, that how to basically deal with the versions, and then how you can try to see that, okay, this particular app which we want to implement for a client is supportive of which version. But yeah, so all of these versions are still supportive. I mean, it's not like that SAP is not supporting any version. Even the SAP S/4HANA 1511 is being supportive, even the SAP S/4HANA 2022, which is, I think the latest is 2024, which was launched recently. So that is also still supportive. So it depends from client to client that which SAP S/4HANA version are they going for. So you'll also get your system access, where I will basically show you that, okay, which SAP, I think we'll be having 2023 S/4HANA, which is, yeah, I mean, almost the same as 2024. So you'll basically get to see that what is the difference between the 2022 and 2023 also. And then depending on the version, we can basically then look into that, okay, these are the Fiori apps which are supportive. And then this is something which will definitely help us in creating our roles, create troubleshooting any issues, because version to version, yeah, there's a slight difference which you need to make sure that you understand. So this will be the agenda for this. So yeah, as I was talking about, that this was first launched in 2015, and it was basically a much bigger of upgrade than the R3 upgrade. because an entirely new platform was created with the latest S/4HANA technologies. And yeah, since the time it has launched, when it has undergone several of upgrades, updates, as you see that from 2015 to 2022, there has been regular either quarterly upgrades or annual upgrades or yeah, biannual updates. So that's something which is SAP is doing very actively. And then they want to. So the purpose of doing all this upgrades is the main purpose is to reduce the customizations, introduce more and more standard apps, so that whenever a client gets any requirement to create anything custom, so which can be achieved with a standard app itself.
Can we go to the directly 4.6 to S4HANA?
Can we directly go to what?
4.6 to S4HANA.
Okay, SAP ECC 4.6. Yes, yeah, you can definitely go there. But then again, I mean, this is not something which you can directly call out, because there would be an analysis which would be required to do. But then, yeah, an upgrade can happen from any ECC to any S4HANA. I mean, an upgrade from ECC to S4HANA is required. So even if you're still on ECC 4.6, ideally it shouldn't be the case, because yeah, I mean 4.6 is very old, I would say. Well, ECC, I think 6.0 was the last version which was released. So there would be a lot of analysis, and then lot of time would go on to analyze from 4.6 to S4HANA that what all things you'll need to do. So a proper plan needs to be made, because I mean ECC 4.6, lot of things would be deprecated like long back itself. So, but yeah, I mean the answer in short is yes, you can upgrade from ECC 4.6 to S4HANA. But yeah, I mean there would be a good amount of an analysis which will be required, because of the T codes which are still there, which are not there anymore. So how would you deal about it? Because the latest was ECC 6.0, which I think most of you would have in your clients. So 6.0 itself had lot of upgrades from ECC 4 or 5 itself. So yeah, I think you'll need to make sure that you do the right amount of analysis whenever you are trying to upgrade from an older ECC to new S4HANA. So this is what I was talking about. So I think for you, the best fit, which I've seen clients moving from ECC older versions like below 6 to next S4HANA. So for you, the latest one might not be the correct fit for your client. The older versions might be more better for you, because I think those will have more apps which will cater to your immediate requirement than the immediate latest one. But I think, yeah, gradually you can definitely try to move from, even if you go for say 2020, yeah, you can gradually move to the latest 2023. So also, like there is nothing like that. If you are in 2020, you can't directly move to the latest one. From 2020 also, you can jump to the 2024 also directly. So like in ECC also, if you want to jump from 4 to directly 6, you can do that. So similarly in S4HANA also, there is nothing that you should move gradually and then take the latest one. It's just that the right amount of analysis needs to go in whenever you are planning that, and then it will definitely assist you in doing that for the long run. And then no immediate business impacts if we do the right amount of analysis, which will save us in that. Because if there is no proper planning or no impact assessment which we do, then there are a lot of things which can impact the business directly. Because I think these things we do in the background, but in the front end, there is a business running which is using this. So whenever we plan any upgrade, my first thing which I'll always propose is an efficient planning in terms of security, in terms of other things also. But yeah, I mean, we being a security consultant will focus more from a security standpoint, that what all things needs to be in place so that we are secured from our end, and then we don't need to do these things again and again. Because for any issue, I think security is the first team which they reach out, or which they try to put blame on. So we need to make sure that we have done our impact analysis in an efficient way, whenever it comes to upgrading a system, be it SAP S4 HANA, older version to new version, or ECC to S4 HANA is definitely something which is a big lift and shift. So we'll need to do that. So I think the next further slides basically talks about what all features we had in individual versions which were released. So basically the major point of this 1503 when it was launched, that it was initially renamed later to SAP S4 HANA Finance, because I think it had a lot of finance related modules which were implemented initially. So that was the main point of this 1503. Then gradually we had like 1511, which was like almost 6 months after 1503 was launched. So the major part which I can remember is this business partner which came in. So it basically reduced almost, I think still there are T codes which are getting obsoleted, and then they are getting implemented into this business partner BPT code itself, or the BP is an app also now. So this was something which was the highlight of this 1511. So the major shift was seen in the SAP S4 HANA 1610, I would say. So 1610 basically was launched in the month of October, and then it basically introduced why it was important for us, because Fiori was entirely, like Fiori was launched in still in like 2015, but in the this upgrade it basically saw a lot of changes which were implemented in the Fiori. So if it comes to say business catalogs or groups, that concept was launched initially. There was groups were there, but then there was no much focus on the groups initially. But then with the launch of the 1610, there was a strong emphasis on having the correct business catalogs and groups in place, so that the end users can view the apps, end users can customize their own screens. So initially the customization was restricted to the technical or the security consultants only, that whatever we used to keep in the screen, that was allowed for the end users to see. But what this 1610 introduced the customization for the users as well. So again, that is something which is optional, which we either need to provide or not provide to the users. But from the 1610, that was something which was launched. So nowadays also, whenever you try to create any Fiori app or the Fiori UI for the client, you still have that customization, that whether you want to allow your end users to change the UI as per how they want, or you want to restrict it still to us only. So it has again the pros and cons. If you allow it, it will definitely allow them more flexibility. But a con to that is, some user may accidentally remove any app or move an app from say one group to another group, or one space to another space, and then they raise a ticket that they are not able to see the app, or they are not able to use the app. So what we need to keep in mind is we need to be prepared for such kind of incidents happening. And then every time we should not directly dive into seeing the authorization issues for it. We first need to see that okay, if that app was assigned and the user itself has removed it, then that's something we'll first need to check. So those are the things which will happen. But again, if the user is aware of these things, and then he tries to make his homepage according to the apps he would frequently use, so that is something which will help him as well. So so it depends, again, from client to client, that how they want to keep it. Either they can keep the customizations open, or they can keep the customizations off also, depending on how they want to treat their end users. So these were some of the 1610 features which were launched along with the Fiori being emphasized more. So the consistent Fiori UI for SAP S4 HANA, this was something which I just talked about. Then in terms of the business processes, there was a EWM was something which was embedded for the first time during 1610. And then I think all of this we talked about it. that your finance definitely was included, procurement. So these are things which you can read. I mean, it's not more on the security standpoint, but yeah, I think definitely this is the version-wise upgrades. And then the 1610 was more important from a security standpoint for us. But yeah, all these later upgrades were made to ensure that the different categories or the different areas in which SAP dives into, they try to introduce more and more standard apps so that the customization can be reduced. So I think these are related to the individual versions. So yeah, again, this SAP S/4HANA 1909 and the 2020. I mean, these are the things which you can read on the screen. These are more from a business standpoint. But again, 2020, what I can remember is the spaces and pages being launched in this version. So with the SAP S/4HANA 2020 release, the spaces and pages were launched. So spaces and pages, basically, why it's important for us was because before this, it was only groups and catalogs, which were used to create any Fiori UI. But later, the spaces and pages came into the picture, and then it basically again provided more clean UI. Though Fiori was there, but then it wasn't clean. So, what was the disadvantage for groups was, like, if you assign any group to a role, and then yeah, if the corresponding catalog is there also, which we'll see in detail later. So there used to be a very clumsy screen. I mean, if the catalog is containing, say, 20 apps, so all of them would be available on the screen, and then you are not unable to do much customization to it. But with the introduction of spaces and pages, that basically gave us more flexibility to arrange the apps, and then the end users can see the entire Fiori screen in a much cleaner way. Like, the technical aspects of it, we'll definitely dive on in our dedicated Fiori section. But yeah, this 2020 version is important for us was because the spaces and pages were launched during this time, and then it basically helped us in making sure the Fiori security we do is more beneficial and more efficient in terms of how SAP provides the business applications or the transactional applications. It also introduced a lot of new categories of apps. So there were initially only transactional apps which were available, but with the 2020 version, along with spaces and pages, there were new categories of Fiori apps. Like, there were fact sheets, and now these days there are analytical apps also which are available. So yeah, I think from a security standpoint, this 2020 was very beneficial for us, and then it basically helped us in changing the way we design the roles as well. So even while designing the roles initially, like, the groups and catalogs was something which we used to deal into. But yeah, later on, it with the introduction of spaces and pages, that was something which was newly available, and then we had to ensure that if the client wants to switch to spaces and pages, that is something which we can do. Again, I mean, since it was recently, I mean, it was launched only during that time, so it was not made mandatory, but then there was a flexibility which was allowed if the client wants to shift to spaces and pages. Still, that flexibility is there, but yeah, soon I think the groups also will be deprecated, the groups feature. I think SAP has decided to move away with it in a couple of years from now. So they can still, users can still have the groups, and then they can shift between spaces and pages. But yeah, soon that will be deprecated, and the new feature would be the spaces and pages only. So yeah, this version is basically important because from a security standpoint, the major things related to spaces and pages and the new categories of apps were launched during this time. So yeah, these are from the industry standpoint, which we are seeing that what all basically came in terms of SAP S/4HANA 2020 upgrade, which you can walk through. And yeah, once you have the slides, the same goes for 2021 as well. So yeah, I think this we have talked about a lot, class. So with the 2022, the S/4HANA Cloud was launched. So this S/4HANA Cloud is nothing but a public cloud which was launched. So yeah, with the introduction of this, the public cloud concept, the entire shift in the SAP GUI to only SAP Fiori happened. And then, I think public cloud is something which is more beneficial to customers who are transitioning. Either they are completely from non-SAP, I mean, they still don't have any SAP, and then they are moving to SAP. So for them, SAP S/4HANA Cloud can be beneficial, or for the consumers who are still into SAP and they want to move to cloud, for them also, I think, this is something which will be beneficial. But then again, that impact analysis, that costing analysis is something which depends on the business to do. But why this version is important, because S4HANA launched its first public cloud version called the SAP S4HANA Cloud. And then again, it basically introduced the AI related things, the machine learning things directly into the S4HANA itself. So initially there were third party things which we had to pair with. So but with the introduction of SAP S4HANA 2022 version, the public cloud version was launched, and then it is still, I mean, it's still getting a lot of upgrades. It's slightly new in the market, so it's not as efficient as the private cloud. But I think SAP's target is to make sure that it is getting more and more upgrades, and then it will definitely be more suitable for the clients to adopt it in the coming years. I think that's it. I think the latest was 2023, which will have it in our trial systems. I can walk you through the changes in the 2023 versions in the system itself. From a security standpoint, what all are the changes? We can do that. I think once you have the system access, we can make sure that I walk you through them directly in the system, so that it will be more beneficial for you.